Welcome into the Crypto Bunker podcast. Today, I just want to talk to you guys about crypto and the charts. Just hop into it right away. We're looking at Polkadot right now, and I guess I just wanted to give a sort of realistic update on what we could be facing, and it could be a brutal sort of bear market situation. When I said that, to average in down here, I still think that this is a good average, and you can see Polkadot was like one of the only coins that was pumping today. So it's definitely a bullish project. The thing is that these cryptos, like, they haven't really been given the go ahead as in terms of regulations in the United States. And they also don't really have a way to value them. And so during this sort of value search situation that we're in with the stock market, there will be institutions who dump their crypto because it's liquid and they can sell it for cash. And it's very uncertain to hold something like crypto through a stock market bear market. So this would actually be really good for people who have a long-term vision on Polkadot. And I think that it's a good time to accumulate. Like, realistically, I have this drawn out as like a year of accumulation in this range from $20, and it could be higher than that. There really could be a trend line like up here at 29. But this is what I see long-term for Polkadot. Okay. So if this is the first cycle that we went through, we go through a bear and we chop up and we reach this trend line, which I think is very strong. And this actually matches my target as well with the 194. If you take the fib extension, I believe at the top of this, it's somewhere around there, around like 190. So that's really what I'm looking at. And I guess it would sort of form this like, this like longer term wedge here, potentially. And maybe that's what some of these cryptos are trying to do here, is to form this wedge. And there's always a chance we can break below it, but we can look at Ethereum as well. And Ethereum, I guess, I don't know if this was me trying to draw the same sort of thing with Ethereum. I guess it was. And so, have us topping out at like 14K. I think both of those DOT and Ethereum are both around like January or February of 2025, I believe. And I would match up with after the Bitcoin halving bull run, which we usually get, and we usually get a bear market up until then. We might get a rally in between that wouldn't go as high. Maybe it gets to 4K and we come back down and we go back up. So these are just some of my long-term thoughts. What we saw in the stock market on Friday was really, really bad. It was one of the worst days. I think it actually was the worst day in the Biden presidency history for the stock market in terms of one day. And there's really not much support. I mean, to be honest, until like down here, in my opinion, there's obviously support, like where we got support here. But there's really not much support. I wouldn't classify this as a good enough support. And if we look at it on the weekly, we can see that, we're looking at sort of that similar level here. If we take this across, it's really more like, it's more like down there. So if we can sort of picture, meeting this 200 week moving average, down here. I do believe that's possible. I don't know when it would happen. It could be next year. We could just kind of chop down here. Or we could go straight down, chop back up, and then kind of go like that. I don't like, to me, this looks like a head and shoulders. And so, I mean, this is kind of like what I would look at for that. So it's similar to this line as well. Because you have the head here, the shoulder, and the shoulder here. And so if we break that down, it looks like we could go down to that level. In terms of longer term support lines horizontally, we look at something like that, see if we can find something that might match up. Yeah, so yeah, you could do that because it hits all these points here and then all these points here and here. So that again kind of X marks the spot, maybe 3,500 for me is reasonable in this sort of bubble that we're in. I mean, you can see how overstretched we are, and then we have this massive head and shoulders at the top of this massive thing. I mean, there will be people calling for lower. We could hit 3,000. I don't think that could happen, but we'll see. Looking at gold, gold right now to me is starting to be more attractive once again. I think gold is going to actually be like an outperformer in the next couple of years here, and could actually, along with silver usually wouldn't do as well in a recessionary environment because people say like, okay, well, silver is used in industry, and so silver is sort of more correlated to like car companies and just kind of like the economy and like people buying things, because silver is like in everything, especially EV related. But that's the thing, is that we're to create these new jobs and to boost the new economy that we might try to do in the future. We're going to need more silver, and silver is going to be at a higher price so that miners are able to allocate capital appropriately to then go and mine more silver for these industries that need it. And so this is kind of like the line I drew out for gold in terms of just a short term. So yeah, I do think we come back to around 1863. Not exact, but somewhere around this wedge, test back heavy here, 1850. And then I, really would look to buy down there. And then we could bounce up and get rejected again, kind of test 1850 again. And then, maybe we're able to sort of make our way back up to these highs. I mean, if we look back at, I guess, 2008, during a recession, obviously, gold, it kind of, funny enough, did actually have a massive rally before we sort of had this bust. Even here in 06, which some people are comparing us to like 06 right now because we have the yield curve inverting, and that's kind of when that happened, I think, back then, if I'm not mistaken. So we do have gold kind of looking somewhat like that with a wedge, and then a couple of rejections, and then maybe we take off and then we get rejected back to the all-time high again. So who knows? But at the moment, gold to me seems definitely more undervalued than the stock market, that's for sure. We definitely would know that for sure at this point. And so if we take a look at silver, again, this is kind of just a thought. And this would put us at June 23 at $34. That's not too much to ask, is it? I have us crashing back down to like $23, and then kind of just going sideways again, and then maybe we pop because of food shortages. This is kind of the idea that there will be food shortages in the next like couple years, within the next couple of years. And so I think silver will perform well with those food shortages. If we take a look at also the bond market, we can take a look at iShares 20 year. Yeah, TLT. And we can see that this thing is just like, well, there we go, right? It's right on that support line there that I had drawn out before. And it looks like it might even be getting bought up there at that level. But you know, when you have bonds and stocks crashing at the same time, it's definitely never good to see. And this is a massive bull run that has gone on for years in this TLT. And, you know, this is the biggest crash in the TLT, you know, I think ever in these bonds. People don't want to hold bonds and they don't want to hold stocks. So it's kind of crazy environment. And, you know, the NASDAQ is getting crushed as well. And, you know, these people with these 60-40 portfolios, you know, they're getting killed because they hold stocks and bonds. And so, again, we're basically at the lows. I mean, I don't see us, I don't know if I see this being like a W bottom, because, you know, I don't know. I just think it just doesn't look that good. But at the same time, we do have to recognize that 3 weeks in a row sell-off is rare. We had it here. We had 4 weeks in a row. Here we had three here, 3 here, 1, 2. We didn't even really have 3 or 4 here because we had a green week in the middle of this COVID crash. So I do believe that we will come down to, at the least, these levels down here, 12,350. That's the support at this point. There is no other support. And, you know, I mean, there's kind of a little bit of an X marks the spot as well. So somewhere around that region is where I expect us to catch support. See if maybe we, you know, bounce back up. And I mean, who knows, right? I don't know if we can touch that 200 week here with the NASDAQ, but the NASDAQ's obviously more overextended than anything else. So, yeah, this is a behemoth. And so anyway, hopefully you guys got something out of the video. If you did, please subscribe, please like the video, and have a great night.